Rings of Power Episode 5, the show which obliterates the idea that you get what you paid for. Who could have guessed a quality product requires both money and talent? But we start with the most evil species on the planet, the Harfoots. Brandyfoot teaching him English. Using other English. How did he know those other words in the first place? Nobody knows, it's not explained. But she tells you what migration means and how they move across for food. Yeah, they live in the woods at one point, then they go to eat snails. They spend their summers in France. But then they reach the grove where there's just fruit everywhere. If you can get past the trolls, the wolves, and everything in the middle. And let's be honest, these are Harfoot hobbits. They're pure evil. I don't want them to make it there. As far as I'm concerned, anyone that helps the hobbits is worse than Sauron at this point. And he doesn't know what peril means. He understood everything else that she said. We'll never know how he learned those words. No, coincidentally, all the words he doesn't know are just specifically chosen to lead him to one realization. Handy, that.
Perils.
Like a danger. Big folk, wolves, fog, rain, hill trolls.
Look, anything that's dangerous to the hobbits, I consider a net positive. Go Team Troll.
Anything that'll kill you.
Kill.
Oh yeah, he doesn't know what kill means. He doesn't know peril, kill. So how's she going to explain the word kill to him? This ought to be good.
It means to make something dead.
Well, that cleared that up then. I don't have a concept of what kill means. He doesn't have a concept of killing, so how's he going to have a concept of death? And the worst thing is, he doesn't have a concept of death, which I actually think is pretty reasonable. Because if you're an immortal creature that has just come down and you've never died and you've never seen anything die, then you wouldn't know what death was. So to you, it wouldn't be good or bad, you'd even recognize it. That all makes sense. The issue is, he just hears the word death and immediately knows what it means, even though he didn't have a concept of it until she said the word.
I'm peril. Fireflies.
I didn't cut that. That's the next sentence. When he killed the fireflies, he had no concept of what death was, so he didn't know he was doing a bad thing. Fine. But the moment someone says the word dead to him and kill, suddenly all those concepts spring into his brain and he can just magically speak the language. This is why you should have had him speak English when he landed on Earth, because you're too thick to actually come up with rules that make sense on how he's going to learn the language in the first place. The guy literally has no concept of reality until you say the word that describes it, and then suddenly it springs into his brain. I just wish the entire scene would spring out of mine. But she's like, you're not a peril, you're good. And again, he doesn't know what good is.
I'm good.
You're good.
But the moment she says the word good, he has all of the concepts of good spring into his brain as well. I am 2 minutes into the show and I'm already having an aneurysm.
Because you're here to help.
You have no idea of that. He fell out of the sky and you're like, I'm sure he's nice. Oh, look at this nice little lady in the woods. She's giving us gingerbread. Nothing can go wrong here. But they're still migrating, trying to catch up to the caravan, which I think can only be described as evil filth. The father's limping, so it doesn't seem like they can keep pace with the caravan, even though the big guy is just carrying their wagon for them. This also has the advantage that you don't need to see anyone else in the town ever again. Really saves on costs on the $1 billion show. But they walk and she starts singing, and I'll save you that. She's not a bad singer, it's just boring. Oh, look, there's a landscape, isn't it nice? We get another map sequence of them moving. There's no way that you cross this country with wagons and no one sees you. But they start crossing a bog, and I assume that's another wagon that the hobbits just left behind to die. Don't worry, I'm sure they wrote his name down in the book so they can revel in his pain and suffering afterwards. Wonderful people. But they get stuck in the mud, and there's no one else around them. You don't see any of the other hobbits. How did they get through all this at speed? And how far behind is this caravan? But they keep moving. Yes, this goes on for an eternity. More landscape. Oh, it's really nice. Don't worry, we're still going. And going. Finally, we get an image where they catch up with the other party in the distance, but they stay away from them, presumably because of the wizard, I guess. And do you see what I mean about they wouldn't be able to hide? There's no cover here. Anyone can see you from anywhere around, but no, I'm sure the Harfoots are completely discreet. If you can't fight in this world, you die. I can only assume they survive because they're so evil. Sauron's like, I will protect you myself. But they're in their own little tent away from everyone else. Saves on the casting cost. Now, it's raining in this scene, but there's holes all in that fabric. The hobbits aren't just evil, lazy, and dirty. They can't sew for crap. But finally, we're past the scene and back to treating the audience like idiots. We start with Gandalf. Or not Gandalf. Faux Gandalf. Folf. Look, I've got to entertain myself in these things somehow. We have to show you the fiery crater so you realize what it is before we take it away, because you wouldn't have realized what this crater was otherwise. And it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Feminem. So we've got strong independent She-Hulk #1 and #2 alongside Feminem. I have no idea what they're meant to be holding, and it never tells you. Now, she's either been sticking her hand in the soil or she's related to Harfoots. Your guess is as good as mine. But it's Feminem. They're evil, and we need you to know. How are we going to show you that Feminem is evil? That's right, I'm going to look around really slowly. Is that why Morgoth and Sauron just fail at everything? Because they move like they're going through treacle. Don't blame me, I didn't write this crap. Back to Adar, and the scene's only purpose seems to be that it shows you he can be out in the sun, which was kind of assumed because he's an elf, not an orc. But if you only have the 35 IQ that this show is aimed at, now you know. But an orc comes up to him, just hiding. The tunnel is complete, my lord, but Adar doesn't care. He just wants his arm. So he puts it out into the sun, and we discover that orcs are basically just vampires. You can actually see smoke rising from his arm as it just blisters and boils. It's worth remembering that for every single scene that they go out and fight in the sun. They should be suffering this constantly. But Adar's just holding his arm there as it burns. And I have no idea why he's doing this. In the previous episode, he was really upset when one of his orcs dies, but now he's like making them suffer. I mean, what? Was he upset that I said that they were better people than the Harfoot? So now he's like, oh, I've got to be even more evil this week because the hobbits are in the show this week. They're making me look bad. And it doesn't work, dude. The hobbits are still way more evil than you are.
I wish you could feel like I do.
So does he. You're not the one burning like a streak of bacon. Oh, I wish you didn't have to be in pain. Now let me set fire to your arm. I don't even know what's going on anymore. But he says soon it will be gone, and with it a part of me. I assume he means like his good elven half is gonna die, and he's just going to be entirely evil. Only then can I truly compete with the Harfoots for their crown. But we go to the Elven Tower, and she starts giving a speech to the people. Although I don't think this was her brightest moment.
Our enemy vows to attack. In exchange for mercy, we have been ordered to abandon this tower and swear fealty to their commander.
Defend a tower led by you who has no military experience, or surrender to a guy who's got an army. I wouldn't have given that decision. I don't think it's as clear-cut as you think it is. If you really wanted to scare them, you should have said they have to join up with the Harfoots.
I know I'm not the king you have awaited.
Twitter's already triggered.
But if you choose to stand with me and fight...
Why would anyone fight with you? Who are you? You can't even fight. She has no fighting or military experience, no experience in strategy. She just picks flowers for a living. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to defend a tower under the leadership of a florist. If I was looking for advice on bouquets for a wedding, I'm sure you'd have a wide variety of experience which could benefit me. But you're going to get these people killed.
Who will stand with me?
Morons.
Who among you will stand and fight?
That's a different question than standing with you. It's like she realized the first one was a bad offer. Who will fight with me? Oh no, no one? Okay. Who will fight? So the first hand goes up. They're so brave. Then everyone starts to apply. Yeah, I'll go to war under a florist. What could possibly go wrong? But then the random barkeep comes in. Stand and fight? No.
Stand and fight, you will die.
I mean, he's not wrong. It is a stupid plan they're trying to recruit people under, but his isn't any better. His is, yeah, we should just go to the orcs, mate. Orcs are less evil than hobbits, but they're still not something you should just bow down to. There's got to be a better way. But he's like, chances will be better if we go out and surrender. And how could you not be convinced by someone who looks as professional as that? That's a born leader right there. If you want information on the best places to go dumpster diving, he is your bloke.
I have looked that enemy in the eye. He's not your deliverer.
You shouldn't surrender to him. Why? I've looked him in the eyes. What did he do? Turn down half your plate of chips? It's like the elf thinks he's our savior.
I'll say this for our ancestors.
He's calling on the power of his ancestors. This ought to be powerful.
They lived.
Is that all? Were you under the impression that everyone thought there was a load of elves still around you? People start looking around. It's like, oh, I didn't know the elves had left this tower. I thought they were everywhere.
Together we can survive this.
Oh, shut up, florist. Leaning over like that's not going to help you either. All it does is increase the danger factor of getting an 18+ rating. It's like, follow me and together we will survive. And who could not follow a leader that looks like that? I'm convinced. Seriously, he looks like the kind of bloke who thinks the television's talking to him. It's sending messages specifically to me. But it all goes horribly wrong and half the people leave. And he looks at her son, he's like, come to me, to Sauron, lad, to Sauron. At least he doesn't roll his R's.
With me, come on, lad.
Come on, lad. Come on, lad. There's a puppy in the van. I mean, look at him. I'm amazed that no one has confidence in this strong and proud fighting force to defend the tower. With soldiers like this, how could you not defend yourself from an army is the question. But half the people leave through the gate. Maybe now she's realizing that telling everyone the message from the evil army leader wasn't the best idea. This is why you don't have your military led by a florist. Then we travel to Numenor. They're prepping a load of boats, although we find out later they've only got 5 of them. There's more than 5 in the dock right now, but ooh, we can't send more than 5. Now, as you can see in this picture, they're actually lifting horses onto the boats. They're taking cavalry with them, so obviously every cavalryman needs a horse. Soldiers, horses, food, gear. Just keep the logistics in mind for later. But Isildur's like, Father, you need to get me on there. I have to go to Middle-earth so I can die. But his father's having none of it. You want to go west. You don't even want to be here. He's like, well, I did change my mind yesterday and now I want to go. Can you get me on?
Not till I've done something worthy of Numenor.
And what is that, in your words?
I don't have words for it.
With a script like that, I'm amazed I'm not more hooked on the show. I need to go to Middle-earth. It's so important to me. Why? Dunno. Gripping.
That's why I'm trying so hard to find it.
To find what? You don't even know what you're looking for. You don't have words for it. This doesn't make any sense. I really want it. What? I don't know. That's why I'm looking for it. Come on! But his father's just like, I wish I could provide it, but all of these people have worked. They've earned it all the time you were gazing into the distance, wishing you were somewhere else. They became guild masters, they trained, they were warriors, and you've done nothing.
While you were feigning fidelity to the traditions of this isle, these men were living them.
I mean, it sounds nice, but what traditions? The sea is always right! Should have left Galadriel in it then, shouldn't you?
I care. I'm ready to serve.
You were serving. You literally got fired in the last episode. Have you already forgotten? In the last episode, you were a sailor. In this one, you want to be a cavalryman. Really sounds like you care about your position. But his father says you had your chance and you made your choice. And you deliberately got fired so you could go to an island for absolutely no reason that anyone can ascertain. And it also seems to be a reason he doesn't care about himself anymore. So why did we spend 2 episodes talking about it when we're just going to ignore it for the rest of this plot arc? But finally, we get to see some discontent among the island, considering at the end of the last episode, everyone just went along with it and said, yeah, I'll join the military, it's fine. They had to wait a week before they could get annoyed about it. Pharazôn, you need to stop the warmongering elf. Seriously, I wish someone would. But Captain Beta's talking to Mrs. Pointless, and she's like, why couldn't you stop it? We needed to stop the war. We're 5 episodes in, but at least she's had an opinion about something for once. And he says many people agree with you, but not enough to push Pharazôn.
There are many who feel as you do. Not enough to sway him yet, but give him the right push.
It must be you.
Please, I'm small and pretty. Do as I command.
He will listen to you.
When I speak, his ears close up.
You must be brighter than I thought. Not any relation to Galadriel, are you?
So speak louder.
That doesn't make any sense. When I speak, he goes deaf. Have you tried screaming at him? No. There's so many things you could have said. Be more convincing, come with better arguments, gain facts and evidence which support your position. But no, instead we get the awesome advice of, have you tried shouting? Definitely related to Galadriel. So far, the advice from Galadriel, her, and the florist is lacking, to say the least. Maybe it's time to seek better advisors. Turns out he's now a member of the guild, and that means he can get down to forging. Can't imagine what else in the Rings of Power might need to be forged. He also seems to be an excellent forger, as the blacksmith is very impressed at his first one. He's like, Southlander, you need to come with me.
Your visitors.
You have visitors. That's not how visitors work. Visitors come to you. You've been summoned is what he meant. Halbrand's the visitor. Language is hard for a scriptwriter. I understand. Yeah, you have visitors. That's why we took you to the main planning area of the entire island. We all just came here to see you specifically, as this is definitely your home. And look, some people may think it's a small thing, but it shows a fundamental lack of understanding of what the English language means. That's important for a scriptwriter. But Muriel's asking him for advice on enemy troop movements, which, you know, he should know. It's like, thank you. I'm sure you'll be just as useful when we go to Middle-earth. I had no idea I was going. I'm guessing that cow across the table told you I'm going, did she?
Galadriel informed us of your aspiration to unite your people.
I'll be a yes then. She's an angry, bitter liar. Some great traits for a main character. But Muriel realizes Galadriel's been lying to her, and she's like, I hope that he will be going when we do, because I've staked my name on this. It's an incredible scene full of subtle political intrigue that you can only really get in something designed for a 2-year-old like Rings of Power. Sorry for the pause.
Given that I've staked my name upon it, I should hope so.
She really has zero shame. Horrible character. But Muriel goes off to see her father in the tower, and we get a perfect scene to show Galadriel's inability to think. Yet she literally wants to lead an entire island. It's gonna go well. It's gonna go really well.
I wondered how the Queen knew to waylay me at her father's bedside.
There's no reason that you should have wondered that. You demanded to go and see your father and then got thrown in prison for it. Then you broke out of prison. What's the next logical thing you're going to do? Go to see the father. But she tries to use it against him. You betrayed me to get into the guild. No, everyone knew where you were going.
Never occurred to me you'd hand me over for a guild crest.
I'd hand you over for a Kit Kat. A Rings of Power Kit Kat. Can you imagine if that's how I announced a new sponsor? It'd be a bigger plot twist than anything this show's provided.
You use me.
To be fair, men probably haven't complained about it before.
I have just convinced Numenor to send 5 ships and 500 men to aid your people and place a crown upon your head. Many might assume you used me.
You don't get to play that card here, Alf. I'm just a cute, innocent, and vulnerable little person. Everyone's taken advantage of me. Not in this world, they're not. You're an immortal elf which has lived for thousands of years. You don't get to play this card in this world. My favorite thing in the camera angle is you can see just how much she has to look up at Hellbrand. I don't know why he was so concerned. Oh, she's gonna try and blackmail me by saying I took advantage of her. Yes, Galadriel the elf got taken advantage of by some random little human dude who was just found clinging to a raft. Look how tiny she is. Can't wait for a scene with Galadriel and the Harfoots. But she's all, this is my angry face. This is also just her resting face.
Find another head to crown.
And he throws his pouch on the table. Yeah, take that, Galadriel. I'm angry now. Urgh. It had all the weight of my acting, believe me. But apparently we're going through the forest with my favorite people, the hobbits. I can't believe the hobbits went through here. It's very strange they've gone through the forest. Why didn't we go the nice path? Oh, that path must have been blocked. It really is useful that you've got these perfectly flat tracks all over the earth that you can just use to pull wagons across, which are apparently so dangerous that nobody uses, but still perfectly flat. Look, I mean, that's almost a perfect road right there. There's not even a bump in sight. Or any other hobbits. Keeps the budget down. But the hobbits are all the way over there, and the camera pans down to show you these footprints. Somehow they spot them from all the way over by the road and run across to them. Doesn't show how, because any explanation they came up with would be entirely unbelievable. So, you know, don't think about it. She's, oh, wolves. And at this point, I am celebrating. Sick 'em, boys. Team Wolf. But they're discussing the woods. The forest has never been this bad before. There was always food here before. It must be that wizard. And then you see the evil come back without any excuse, without a second thought. She immediately senses weakness, and that means the hobbits will pounce.
He's responsible, isn't he? The big fella. Take their wheels and leave them.
Yeah, that's right, Lenny. So we came to this forest, and there wasn't as much food in it as we thought. Steal the wheels and let them die! I hate the Harfoots. They're the most evil people ever. You go to a forest, and if you don't find enough food, let the people at the back die. Don't even just leave them behind. Take their wheels so they can't move. Sacrifice to the gods. Yes, today we shall feast on blood. Horrible people.
What's it gonna take?
What's it gonna take to convince you to join me on the dark side? The writers think these are the good characters.
Make a widow of somebody or an orphan?
You're going to leave them all to die. You're the one making orphans. There's children on the back carriage. And she's like, no, well, they're not technically orphans if they all get eaten. Can't be orphans if there's no survivors.
People are getting hungry.
Why don't you eat her? It's not like your tribe would miss much. But she goes off to get food.
Stay close.
Get lost is what I think you meant. I wouldn't want her anywhere near my village. Entirely evil. But she's off foraging. Unfortunately, she survived the shock, so, you know, can't be lucky all the time. They start telling her about the footprints from the wolves. I don't know why they chose her. I would have chosen literally anyone else but her. And she's just talking to him, polite as anything. Despite the fact that 30 seconds ago, she's going, we should let them all die, take their wheels and leave them to die. She's worse than Galadriel. But at that point, the wolves appear, and it would have been impossible to underestimate how excited I was at this moment. As all the Harfoots panic, they start running, because they get chased by these wolves, and I'm so excited, I don't care about the bad CGI. Sick 'em, boys. The Harfoots are running about 1 mile an hour, and she's at the back, so she might get it first. Seriously, the show's looking up. Wipe out the Harfoots, I'll give you a 10 out of 10. Bribery works. So they have an idea of climbing a tree to get away from the wolves. The problem is, they choose a tree which is about 1 foot off the ground and just sit in it. Look, characters are only as intelligent as their writers. It's just a fact of life. So they start sitting in this really tiny tree, not moving. All right, oh no, we're all gonna die. We see them getting charged by like the boar kind of creature, and she's trying to rip off one of the logs. I expected her to rip it off and it like jump on it and just be really predictable, but she keeps struggling to pull it off. She doesn't have the strength, and it's this close to her. This moment was the happiest I've been during the entire series. Unfortunately, the wizard comes in, picks him up, and just lobs him. I didn't know he was that strong. It's like, oh no, I shall attack you and get revenge. Oh, I'm so amazed he saved us. I knew you were good. Well, he wasn't good until you told him he was good, and then he understood what good meant. So language works. But they all start preparing. We're gonna group up and take on a wizard between the three of us, because that's smart. And he decides to just smash the ground. And because he's like a She-Hulk wave, they go flying backwards. Maybe taking on a wizard wasn't the smartest plan we've had. Thing is, he's all injured and his arm hurts. Is that how magic works? Apparently it is now. So the Númenóreans are fighting, or training anyway. And Galadriel's all like, these people are really strong, but they've never fought an orc. I've fought an orc. Perhaps then, Galadriel, you would like to train them. So she's well known enough, apparently, to be such an amazing warrior that she can train the Númenóreans, and yet simultaneously we're supposed to think that everyone would believe that Galadriel took advantage of her. Right. I mean, this makes perfect sense. But obviously, when asked this question, we get the typical Galadriel attitude, a smirk. Welcome to Númenórean training. If Isildur had seen this, he probably wouldn't have been so eager to join.
There are many ways to kill an orc. But for you, I will keep it strong and simple.
Because that's their opinion of anyone that stuck it through this show for 5 episodes. You're just incredibly simple. Thing is, when she said that line, I said out loud, what, stab him?
Stab.
I was taking the piss. You put it in the show. Welcome to the Gladriel Elite Training. How'd you kill an orc? Stab them. Never was going to work that one out on my own.
Come at me.
Bet you've said that before. Look, it's been a few thousand years and it's not as if her husband's anywhere inside, is it?
We will see who can score flesh.
Oh, blimey, it got worse. Is it time to introduce you to She-Hulk's swiping apps? I think you two would get along brilliantly. Anyone that manages to strike her will become a lieutenant. I'm like, trust me, dude, no one needed extra encouragement to try and stab her. You forget, these people have met her before.
Promote to lieutenant.
He says lieutenant. I've always said lieutenant. But the guy steps forwards and we get like a Matrix scene. He's trying to attack her and she's just dodging all over the place. No, I literally mean a Matrix scene. Eventually he's attacking her. He just gets her back with a sword. Twice.
Swordsmanship is about balance rather than strength.
That's not true. There's more than one reason why all the sword fighters used to be male. One of them is strength. You're an elf, so I can go, oh, well, she's just stronger than him. Fair enough. That doesn't actually work for the Numenorians. And it literally seems like you've put this in so you can get women into the military and just go, yeah, sword fighting, it's not about strength. No, it's about balance. They're just as good on balance. That's not how any of this works. If you block my sword and I'm stronger than you can just power through. And I don't know anything about sword fighting. Why don't you?
Fight with your feet, not your arms.
What does that even mean? He's not a kickboxer.
Oh yeah, just dodge around in the Matrix until you can get a stab in.
But the show doesn't have anyone go, that's a stupid statement. What does that even mean to her? Instead, everyone decides to attack her as if to prove her right. And she's off, just starts defending herself against like 5 people that all attack her at the same time. Of course, the 2 impetuous blokes do it first. Halbrand's there on the sidelines checking her out. And she is so pleased with herself. You see, I am fighting with my feet, not my arms. It's so pleasurable to humiliate the peasantry. It's the moment I live for. But then he attacks her and just like bends over on his own for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And this friend comes in over here and literally goes to cut his own mate's head off. The only reason he's not dead is because he dodges to the side. Oh yeah, well they both parted so neither of them got hit. He wasn't even attacking Gladriel, he was hitting his mate. But then he starts swinging at her and there's literally a scene where he attacks her and she just takes his blade off him. He doesn't even try and hold on to it. Look. She literally just reaches down and takes it. Oh, Gladriel, your fighting prowess has amazed me. How could I not have thought to pull my sword back or hold on to it? I'm sure all this sounded good on paper. But he realizes that there's a fight going on, so he goes to watch. And now she's got 2 swords, which means everyone can get involved. So it's literally just a load of people attacking her swinging swords, but apparently she can dodge everything.
It's like, I'm fighting using my feet. I'm using the environment around me by walking into pillars. I'm really clever. Look, I've got 2 blokes at the same time.
I mean, she's a few thousand years old, so...
And I'm so smug.
Don't plant roots. Keep moving.
Let's see Halbrand do that and see what happens, shall we? Twitter might physically melt down. But the fight continues, there's lots of spins. I think it's a better fight scene than anything else they've had in this series, for what it's worth. But its competition is things like, I'm going to push one guy and 5 people walk into a prison cell. So, you know, stiff competition for this title. Then we get this. I don't even know what this is meant to be. I also don't know what you're supposed to do with, like, a sword backwards. What can you even do with that? Perfectly demonstrated, actually, by this scene of, I don't know why you're holding a sword like that. That would not work. The only way that would work is if you were so immensely strong, because you have absolutely no force there. Look, if he just attacked you, he would be able to hack through your block, and your, like, strength won't work. Well, it will when you're holding your sword in the strangest position I've ever seen anyone hold a sword in my entire life. Like, if you've got your arm twisted round like that, you have absolutely no strength to block a sword coming in this way. He could just swing and smash through, and you're like,
oh no, your strength means nothing. It's all about your feet.
I know the pose looks cool, but it's stupid.
Never trust brute force to best an orc.
Brute force would have killed you in that scenario. It's only, and this isn't a push, if your elf strength is so astronomically massive compared to his. Because you have no way to apply it in this stupid arm twisting position you did.
Oh, you can't use strength because you're a bloke. No, you've got to use your feet and balance. Oh.
I hate to break this to you, Gladriel, but strength is actually an incredible benefit to martial combat.
It's often easiest to outmaneuver them.
Maybe if you got super speed, still doesn't mean that strength is a bad thing like you've been saying in this. And that was Gladriel's sword fighting lesson. Move, stab, and strength bad. Right, okay. Yep, you sound like a military general I'd be following into battle. But he did manage to cut her arm because she was in a stupid position that made literally no sense. And for that, he gets lieutenant. We get Halbrand doing a little bit of showing off with the sword. pretty cool. And Galadriel comes in with a constipated face and says, I've never seen a blacksmith be able to do that. And I mean, maybe, but if blacksmiths spend all of their time around swords, I wouldn't be surprised if they could do some tricks with them. I mean, he's just spinning it around and he handles them all day, every day. I don't think it's that surprising or unusual. What does every bloke do when he gets a sword? Starts swinging it around. Doesn't matter whether he knows how to do it. Over time, he'd learn. But this kid is wrapped around her finger and he's like, you need to stop this. You need to stop the war. Assert your influence. Take control.
Sometimes the folly of youth is enough to make an old man weep.
That's how I feel if I go on TikTok. But he tries to convince him to stop the war, and he's like, no, there are many advantages that you can't see. You shouldn't try and kick against the current. Instead, you should see where it's going and try to guide it. It actually sounded like something the Aes Sedai in the Wheel of Time TV series would say, rather than a big muscly guy with a beard. And it fits a lot better there because of the lore with here. Honestly, the moment they said, the sea is always right, I'm done with the water metaphors. But if he loses his temper, my father would sooner die than take orders from an elf. He's not pleased. He signals to the people around him to leave. And you. Clearly got people set up around him so they can't be easily eavesdropped on. And at this moment, he realizes, yeah, maybe she's not worth it. Maybe she's actually not worth the effort. I've made a major mistake. Maybe I shouldn't try and change the entire political future of an island just because some random woman I met in a marketplace yesterday told me to. Can't imagine why this has gone wrong for you. When all of this is ended, the elves will take orders from us. But I go to war for Numenor. Think of the trade. Think of what we can do on Middle-earth. I would never go against that. The trade routes, the gems, the people. Imagine the colonization we could do of Middle-earth. Yeah, I'm still waiting for the showrunners to dig up some old quote they can try and twist to say that Tolkien loved allegory because they put enough in. But Muriel's with his father. It's like the kingdom's in danger. You're in danger. You mustn't go. I don't want you to go to Middle-earth. But father, I'm doing what you wanted, restoring the connection to the elves. It's on her demand why we're going.
Muriel, don't go.
It's a bit late for that, mate. It's only because of all of your ramblings that she wants to go in the first place. And now you're like, no, actually, I've changed my mind. But he says, I don't want you to go. There will be nothing left for you there except darkness.
What, father, what awaits me?
Darkness.
Oh no, darkness!
Back to the evil filth, and Brandyfoot's found him doing some magic. He's just holding his arm in a piece of water. I don't know what he's doing. Whatever it is, it's like ice growing up his arm to heal it, I guess. Unfortunately, Brandyfoot has the IQ of someone that you'd expect in this show. And so after hearing him do magic, seeing the ice spread up his arm, she decides to do this. Because if I saw that growing up someone's arm, the first thing I would do...
Hey!
is touch it. Yeah, that's right. Really was the only option available to her, wasn't it? So predictably, the ice starts growing up her arm and she starts panicking, no idea what to do. For some reason, she doesn't start like smacking him on the back of the head. That's what I would have done. Wake up, you fool. No, she just sits there as if, oh, I'm completely paralyzed. You do realize you've got another arm that you can do stuff with, right? Like poke him, prod him, smack him. Do anything to wake him up out of the clear trance that he's in when he's doing the magic. No, we're just going to ignore that. I forgot I got two hands. Literally doesn't move. Still not moved. She even grips her arm with her other arm rather than just using it to smack him in the face. And he's there doing magic. We get a flash of previous images and she is fired back like a cannon. Miles. Luckily though, her hand is fine. Unfortunately, all of the ice and the water that grew up her arm didn't clean her fingernails or a hand or anything. Maybe hobbits are just immune to water and literally nothing will get the filth off. I don't know. Would be one explanation. But he realizes he's hurt her, comes over to check if she's okay, and she just runs off even though it was all her fault.
I can't believe you've hurt me doing the magic that I got involved in that I didn't need to.
Take responsibility for your own actions, dear. Meanwhile, he's healed his arm, so mission accomplished. Meanwhile, in the background, all the trees start to wave. Ooh, dangerous. I don't know what's going on. Back to Elvish land, and Durin's here having a meal with them. It turns out this is just basically an political ambush. Gil-galad says, Khazad-dûm has always been really quiet, but now your furnaces burn brighter than ever. What is your secret? And because he wants to make everyone suspicious, I guess. It's the only reason I can think for him to respond this way. He says the same of Linden. All of your military seems to be moving around recently. You normally move a lot slower than that.
Typically takes you people weeks just to decide to take a shit.
If I may.
It's like Tolkien's in the room. And Elrond tries to help him. The dwarves, they live shorter lives, and so they do far more things, far faster than we do. And Gil-galad has that same kind of bored contempt look on his face that I think most people do when they watch the series. And so because the political nuance in this show is about as deep as a duck's backside, Jorin does an incredibly obvious move, which I didn't think they'd actually fall for, but apparently we're supposed to think they did.
From where did you procure the table?
That's right, he's asking about a table. He says this is a rare stone, only found at a certain depth that we value deeply, and that's why we use it mainly to honor our dead, and you're using it as a table. Obviously, it's meant to make the elves be sorry, as if they've done some major faux pas really offended him, and therefore shut up about their initial inquiry. The issue is, he has no idea where they got the table from. It's actually just a normal piece of rock he doesn't care about. And if it's just a normal piece of rock, then they could have gotten it anywhere.
Why do you ask?
You could argue that him saying, "Why do you ask?" means that he didn't immediately have an answer, like, "Oh, we got it from a trader down the road." But the gamble here is crazy, and just all of the assumptions that they wouldn't know what this rock was. They're thousands of years old, of course they can know what this rock is.
Please forgive our sacrilege, Lord Durin.
Yeah, it apparently worked, but now I'm just even more curious, where did you get the table? Because it must have been from someone dodgy, otherwise you would have just gone, "Nah, it's just a normal stone table, dude." Seriously, you can get it down the market, 100 euros. They're a bargain. He's got like 100 of them. This stone isn't rare. Instead, he tells Durin, "Yeah, we'll send the table home with you so it can have the proper respect." Do you want to see what that proper respect looks like?
It's good to know there's still some honor left among the elves.
Okay, how much honor? Because at that point, they all just do a toast and eat on the table. You know, the table which is only meant to respect the dead. Yes, we will honor this rock as it deserves. After lunch. And Durin's just like, "Yeah, I'll just happily eat my meal on the sacrilegious table." None of this makes any sense. Look, they even completely finish it and then clear up on the sacrilegious table, apparently. But afterwards, Gil-galad starts questioning Elrond. "I commend your loyalty to the dwarf, but there will come a time where you have to choose between elves and dwarfs. What happens to your loyalty then?"
Loyalty to a friend ought to be expected, regardless of his race.
You're really subtle there, you really are. I'm just, every episode, it amazes me. Now, remember in the previous episode where Elrond swore on the mountain and all of his family's lives that I will never talk to anyone at all about what I find inside this room? Well, he breaks that immediately when he accuses Gil-galad of sending him into the mine looking for something secret, which tells Gil-galad that there is something secret, and you know what it is. So you've already broken your oath, mate. Well, congratulations. But they start talking about an ancient legend. He says, on the peaks of the Misty Mountains, there was an elf fighting a Balrog, both after a tree which had the light of the Silmarils. One was pouring like all of his good into the tree, and the other one was trying to corrupt it as much as possible. But mid-battle, lightning struck the tree and sent the light of the Silmarils down into the rock, which is how Mithril was made.
Durin was right. Then you admit that dwarves did find it.
Yeah, he's already broken his oath multiple times at this point. The moment he said Durin was right, he's now confirmed to Gil-galad that Mithril is in that mine and the dwarves have found it. Congratulations, you broke everything.
I admit, I promised Durin never to reveal his people's secrets.
You've already revealed it. How do you not know that you've revealed it? But Gil-galad says, what if keeping your oath would actually destroy our people? Despite the fact that he's already broken his oath, so I don't even know why we're having this conversation. That is when Gil-galad takes him to the tree. We saw it getting corrupted at the end of the second episode. Gil-galad says, we noticed the corruption when Galadriel first made her return, and we thought that sending her away would cure the corruption itself. Having seen her for 5 episodes, I can understand why you'd have that opinion. I would have had it as well. Quick, Galadriel's returned. Send her away as far as possible. She's corrupting the world. Unfortunately, it didn't save the tree. It just got worse. All I'm saying is she didn't actually leave. How about we make sure she goes even further this time? Even if it does nothing for the tree, it's worth a shot. He says this tree symbolizes our light. As that dies, our light fades. Your people, Elrond, may soon die.
Did the dwarves find the ore or not?
I swore an oath to Durin.
That's a yes, then. The only oath you could have that would stop you answering that question is if it was yes and you'd promise not to say anything about it. Stop breaking your oath by talking about the oath.
To some, that may now hold little weight.
Oh yeah, but I'm such an amazing person. To me, it means everything. Yeah, we get it. Our souls are bound in oaths. I will not let my soul slip away, just on hope alone. And Gil-galad says, our only other option would be to leave Middle-earth, and the evil will sweep across the land and wipe out everybody. And I'm like, well, okay. But hear me out. That would include the Harfoots. Personally, I think that's a price I'm willing to pay. If Sauron took over the entire world, but got rid of the Harfoots, I actually think the net amount of evil in the world would still be less than it is now. So Elrond has a midlife crisis. How? No, my oath! What should I do about my oath? And this top secret piece of mithril that I'm carrying around with me, which absolutely, apparently doesn't break my oath in any way, shape, or form. Because my oath was not to say anything about it, not to show everyone the mithril that they'd found. Back on Numenor. And Isildur's just hanging around for his mates. Please, I'm so sorry for what I've done. Like most scenes, including Isildur, this is pointless and crap. Now you're a lieutenant, you've got power, do you think you can get me into the military? No, I'm not getting you into the military, I hate you. Go away. Next scene. There was one fun bit though, where Isildur says, well, you can get one for free if you want. Or 2. Actually... Every cloud. He still said no to helping him though. Good lad. Cut to a boat now, and Captain Beta has been wrapped around her finger so hard he's, about to do this, because he's really smart. He sneaks onto one of the 5 military ships, and starts busting open barrels of oil. He's about to throw his lantern on it and just, like, detonate the entire ship when he hears a cough. Now, most people in this situation would either throw the lantern or leave because you're about to get caught. This guy decides to take a third, far more ridiculous and stupid route. Yeah, I'm gonna walk up to the coughing.
Are you stowing away?
Yeah, that's a really smart question to ask when barrels of oil are pouring out from behind you. You're committing a criminal act. Why are you looking for stowaways? And if you are like, well, you know, I'm not going to kill anyone because I just wanted to blow up the ship, why are you talking to him like that when everyone can see the barrels of oils behind you?
Are you about to burn the boat?
Yeah, his accusation's a lot worse than yours was. That's why it didn't make any sense for you to make yours. But of course, Isildur's not very happy that he's about to blow up the entire fleet. So they have a fight, and while they're kind of wrestling back and forth, you know, it's probably because he's a big dumb bloke and just fighting with his arms rather than his feet. And C is always right. It causes the guy to lob the lantern on the oil, and obviously a fire breaks out, we're all about to die. They immediately run out onto the boat, which explodes. Fire goes onto the next boat, that also explodes. They only had 5 boats, now they've got 3. And yes, he really cared about Isildur, but he didn't care at all about all of the gear, the food, and the horses that were loaded onto that boat. Doesn't care about any of that at all. He's a really nice character that you're meant to root for as an audience member. Really know how to write him in this show, don't they? But of course, everyone runs out because the dock's exploding. Oh yeah, and that boat you see in front of him, it's meant to hold 100 cavalrymen. So each boat has 100 people, 100 horses, the food for all of that, and all the gear. Seriously, unless that ship is a TARDIS, you're not fitting it all in, that's all I'm saying. But Isildur brings him back, saves his life, and then lies to them. His lie is the quality you would expect from someone as stupid as he is.
He was in a fishing boat. A cast must have gone up.
Yeah, that's right. His lie is, well, they must have just exploded. Happens all the time with ships. They just randomly explode as they're going along. They're renowned for it, in fact.
A cask?
Yeah, even his father doesn't believe it. Although apparently later he believes it. He even gets onto the ships himself because everyone's like, he's a hero, even though no one believes his story. Or shouldn't believe his story because it's absolutely stupid. What could possibly have happened to the boat? Dunno. Must have just exploded. No one even asked what Isildur was doing out there. The other guy was fishing. Okay, what were you doing out there, specifically?
He could have just left, but he saved my life.
Yeah, I probably should have just left you out there, to be fair. Let's say we have reason to suspect it was a brigand that we haven't found yet. We're fortunate it didn't blow up all of the ships. I'm like, yes, okay. Why don't you suspect the only 2 people that were anywhere near the explosions when the explosions happened? Seriously. I feel like I'm losing my mind because nobody else in this show has theirs. But Galadriel says this is clearly an attempt to make you doubt your first decision. Do not let it.
I'm forced to disagree with the elf.
I disagree with the elf on nearly everything she's ever said since the beginning of time. It's generally a safe bet.
Perhaps we did act in haste.
See, now his character doesn't make any sense. I don't know why he would change. Yeah, okay, he doesn't like being ordered around by an elf, but he's already said he's not doing it for the elf. He's going to Middle-earth for Numenor, and so all of the advantages and all of the reasons of why he did it in the first place is still there. A couple of boats blowing up doesn't change anything for him. But no, apparently he's changed his mind for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Well, that's a pause. But instead he's like, we should just delay until we convince more people around the island we're doing the right thing, which will probably be never, I guess. But we get Sauron is growing stronger every hour, every day. Remember what you're doing and why you're doing this. Remember your faith. I'm not sure that reminding someone that they're going to war just because they touched a ball somewhere is really your best plan, dear, but, you know, it's the same quality as all your others. But Muriel says this council will reconvene at first light, and, Halbrand will be there. The entire plan rests on Halbrand doing something he doesn't want. This ought to be good.
Hello, I'm Galadriel, and I'm evil.
But in case you thought it couldn't get any worse, this is Elrond giving Celebrimbor the Mithril. He still doesn't think this breaks his oath. And it turns out that Elrond has been spurned by his lover. Celebrimbor actually knew all along he was in it with Gil-galad, and their entire reason for sending him there in the first place was done together. I knew all along about the Mithril. I just needed you to discover it. Despite the fact that we sent you there without any information on it, without telling you anything about it, and I had no idea that you would actually put so much effort into discovering anything about it, we sent you there for that very purpose. This plan makes no sense, and they had no idea he'd even do it. There's no reason to think that he ever would have discovered it, because he didn't even know it existed. But Celebrimbor's like, yes, it's our only salvation. I have tested it. If we can surround every living elf on the entire world with enough massive quantities of mithril, then the light of the Silmaril will wash into them and it will save all of us. Because elves are just like Energizer bunnies now or something. They just need constant top-ups of energy. Fetch the lightning cable. I need to recharge.
Well, that now our people are doomed unless I break an oath.
You've already broken an oath. You've told Gil-galad about Mithril, you've told Celebrimbor about Mithril, and you've handed the Mithril over to them so they can study it. You've broken literally everything your oath entailed. The only thing you haven't revealed is the shaft itself. Although you probably revealed that to Celebrimbor as well, let's be honest. And not for the first time. So Hellbrand is sweeping up the forge. Galadriel appears and says a line which I quite frankly never thought I'd hear out of her mouth.
I was wrong.
Seriously, I think I need a stiff drink. I'm about to faint in shock.
To use you.
Oh, you were wrong to be evil, right? You weren't wrong about any of the other things you've ever done. You weren't actually wrong about your intentions or your plan. No, it was just specifically how you used him, right?
For that I am sorry.
Oh, wow, we're 2 for 2. I need to steady myself on the sofa. I'm getting dizzy.
Your voice at that meeting may well decide whether this mission stands or falls. Help me.
There it is. Even when she apologizes and admits she was wrong, it's simply to manipulate you into the next use. I'm so sorry I needed to use you. It was really unfortunate. Now, please, let me use you again.
I think I've helped you quite enough.
Based.
Then help yourself.
Oh, here we go. When the carrot doesn't work, the stick comes out, and I'm gonna turn into an arse again. You found out how well that worked for She-Hulk yesterday, but you take so much pleasure in it. I saw all those grins and the smirks. You just not like it when you lose. Stop fighting me! Just do as I command all of the time, peasant! And Hellbrand just starts spouting off, yes, well, you know, we didn't used to fight Sauron. My people actually joined him. You have no idea what I've done. You have no idea what I had to do to survive. What got me on that boat on the first place. All I want to do is stay on this island away from everywhere and make my swords. You are dragging me back into something you have no idea what it is. Because he's always so subtle, no one's guessed.
You don't know what I did before I ended up on that raft.
I think I've got a pretty good idea. But while he's talking, we get the people surrendering to the orcs, because that sounds like a great plan. They kneel before the orcs. People will do anything they need to survive. I guess it's because none of these people have seen movies. You just end up dying to your own boss half the time for no reason. I'm angry, die! It's not generally a safe work environment. But Halbrand says, when Numenor find out what I've done, they will cast me out. And so will you.
Sometimes to find the light, we must first touch the darkness.
That didn't make any sense the first time, and it doesn't now. Can we please stop talking about a stone and a boat looking upwards? To be a good person, you need to do evil first. No! No, you don't. You don't. It's a horrible idea. It's a horrible expression, and I don't know why you keep repeating it.
What do you know of darkness?
What do you mean? You've met her. You've seen how she speaks to people. You've seen how she speaks to you. There's absolutely no way you think she's good.
Oh, you're just so nice and innocent, despite the fact that you're just a complete cow to everybody in the world.
But he starts asking her whose dagger it was, and he says it was my brother's, that's why I'm going around hunting Sauron. It's kind of ironic. He's like, why do you keep fighting? If you're not after vengeance, then what is the reason why fight? And we get this glorious response, which I'm sure took literally seconds of effort in the writer's room.
Me to go to the one place that I swore never to return.
What, California?
The least you can do is tell me why. Why do you keep fighting?
Because I cannot stop.
Doesn't make any sense. Why do you keep fighting? Because I can't stop. Doesn't make any sense. You could stop. You choose not to. Fighting because you choose to fight, which means there must be a reason for it. You haven't given a reason. You can stop. You don't want to stop. So he's asking you, why don't you want to stop? Answer the lad. Of course, he's just going to accept that as an answer. You know, makes total sense. Complete sense. Absolutely. It's just me. I'm the problem, obviously. Oh no. This is my horrified face.
The company I led mutinied against me.
Yeah, they were the smart ones.
My closest friend conspired with the king to exile me.
He'd known you for centuries. I'm surprised he lasted that long before he snapped.
And each of them acted as they did, because I believed they could no longer distinguish me from the evil I was fighting.
Now there's a truth I can believe. Galadriel finally comes to the realization that she's evil. It only took this long. What was it that finally did it for you? Was it when that person fell over in the snow and you're just like, we should leave them to die? They were only 5 foot behind you. You acted just like a half foot.
I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry? You didn't do any of it. I mean, so far throughout this entire story, she's done way more evil than you have. Don't be sorry, it's all her fault. Her decisions. Every bit of responsibility for it is purely on her.
To your brother.
Yeah, you probably should apologize for that one, I guess.
Your sorrow cannot ease my pain.
Good, because I don't think you deserve it eased.
And nor would a hammer and tongs ease yours.
Well, that came out of nowhere, didn't it? I also don't think that's true. I think being a blacksmith was actually really satisfying for him. He's a bloke. He created things. He built things. That's actually a core satisfying thing that men do. They just like doing things, being around things, building things, crafting things. Even for Hellbrand, I'm sure it was relaxing.
There is no peace to be found for you here.
There certainly isn't while you're in the room, dear. If you left, I'm sure he'd brighten right up. He was very happy until you arrived. Now he's in tears.
No lasting peace in any path. I have fought for centuries seeking to earn mine.
Have you ever considered stopping? Like, seriously, if you stop fighting, you might find peace. Astonishing as that may seem.
This is how you earn yours.
Yes, he really needed you to tell him how he earns his peace. Because you know all about him. You've known him for at least 2 days. Oh. So she gives him his little leader bag, and we leave with Hellbrand in tears. Don't know why. I honestly don't know why. Gotta say though, I'd like the music in the scene, and I like him as an actor. So there are positives. Cut back to Adar, and of course this guy's amazed. I have long awaited this day. I pledge my fealty to you, Sauron.
You are Sauron, are you not?
Didn't want to check that first, no. Come on, folks, let's go and surrender to this random guy outside our gates. I haven't checked he's Sauron, but he probably is, let's be honest. In Rings of Power, everyone's Sauron. But the guy just slams him to the ground, and the guy's still trying to pledge his fealty, so Adar goes, okay, then you want to pledge your fealty to me? Here's a knife.
Only blood can bind.
Have you ever considered superglue? Welding? Sewing? Mortar? There's actually a crap load of things that bind when you think about it. But in this, no, it's blood. And this guy just starts panicking. He very briefly doubts himself, but then, actually, no, I mean, I ran a bar and I just don't like you anyway. Now, imagine the people that I can lead. Imagine the filth I can smear on myself. Imagine these orcs, I bet they've got untold filth. And so he starts walking towards him. We don't get to see the deed, we just get this. What did any of you think was going to happen when you went and surrendered to the evil dictator outside your gates? Seriously, do none of you think through what surrendering to Sauron would mean in the first place? Yes, you might have to do some horrible things. Congratulations. But now Bronwyn's kid is practicing archery, and good old Arondir the elf here has some excellent archer's advice for him.
Lift your aim next time.
Yeah, congratulations with that one.
I want to be better at archery. How can I do that? Have you considered aiming higher?
Glad we got to benefit from your centuries of experience there, dear.
Don't be so afraid of the string.
I'm sorry, but who's afraid of string on a bow? I've done archery. I don't know how you can be afraid of the string. It doesn't even come anywhere near you. You basically pull it to your cheek and it goes past. There's nothing to be afraid of. Whoever wrote this has never fired a bow. Or spoke to somebody who's fired a bow. Which is weird when your main actor fires a bow and he didn't go, why would anyone be afraid of this? This is stupid.
Why bother trying to teach me?
That's a good point. He is a stupid idiot. Well, it's like when it took me 200 years to develop into the person I am. You, as a teenager, have already developed the strength to stay here and die pointlessly. Which means I need you to aim higher. I don't know what the scene's about. But it's supposed to be a meaningful scene. I've gotten to know you before in that town, despite the fact that I thought you were evil, and my only job is to make sure that you didn't turn evil. And then half of you went and turned evil anyway, so he hasn't done a very good job of it, has he? But I need you to defend this outpost, and therefore I need you to raise your pissing aim, dear. So then he loads his bow, and I'm not afraid of the string anymore because I've been given an inspirational speech. Oh, it hits me right in the feels. I mean, I would have preferred some kind of plot or story moving on, but no, just trying to hit me in the feels over and over again will sure replace anything actually happening. And then he's like, there's something you don't know. There's like, something you don't know. I've got an evil sword. And Arendelle looks at it. I know this thing. It's on this wall over here, just coincidentally 2 feet next to us, that was covered up. Why did the elves let the wall get covered up by the plants, just even though it clearly showed important information about the future of this entire area? Don't think about it. And no, instead we've got a carving of the exact blade, and Arondir knows all about it for some reason. It's a key that somehow binds this entire area to Sauron. We don't know how. We don't know where he is. We have no information about it. But we just coincidentally know it's a key that does stuff. Don't you think it would have been important to pass on the rest of the information when you told everyone it was a key and engraved it on a wall? You could have even written on the wall what it was. This is stupid. But I did forget the in-depth description that Arondir actually explained all of the plot.
There's a key, conjured by some forgotten craft of the enemy to enslave your ancestors.
Oh, well, that clears up everything. What is it? I don't know. It's just a forgotten craft. Have you ever tried writing things down so you don't forget them in the first place? This is generally how you pass down knowledge from one generation to the next. You don't just carve a picture in a wall for no reason. Yes, this will help my ancestors in the future remember everything as I tell them literally nothing.
A key to what?
I don't know why you needed to ask that. You would have assumed if he knew that, he would have told you in the first place.
I do not know.
I'm glad we cleared that one up. He says the enemy commander spoke of becoming a god. Maybe that dagger is the key to it all. That might actually mean you've got the key to everything holding the key to everything. We've gone super meta here. Inception meta. But he says the enemy knows that your son has the key to enact it. But then we get this bit, which shows that Arondir is as helpful in military strategy as he is in everything else.
How long?
Days, maybe hours.
That's quite a big gap. How long have we got to prepare? Well, it could take them days to get here, or they could be here in about 5 minutes. If your pizza delivery company said the same thing, you wouldn't accept it. I don't know why we should for a military battle, but they're supposed to have an intimate scene even though Antarctica has more of a visible flame than those two do. We could survive this, Bronwyn. There's a way out. There must be. When they attack, the tower will fall.
And when they march upon us, this tower will fall.
And just like that, they came up with their battle plan. Because they're strategic geniuses. Wait, she said it. We're right next to a tower. And it can fall. Seriously, I am wetting myself with incitement right now. Yeah, we're going to destroy one of our main fortifications. That'll teach him. Even as we're looking at it, there's like rocks and dust falling off it because it's just that trash. Well done, elves, you really did the upkeep on that one. But you see Adar and his orcs marching towards the battle. They're actually quite a way off, and they've somehow got to get up that waterfall. There had to be a better route, right? The elves are taking the table back to the dwarves, and they just seem to be, like, carrying it. Look, I know that you think it's sacred, but you do have transport, right? You're not honestly going to carry that the entire way to Khazad-dûm. I know in previous episodes, elves have been able to teleport around and no one's ever questioned it before, but are you all going to do it? Is that really a plan? One of them even stumbles and almost drops it. I kind of don't think transporting it there is going to go very well. Although it does make Durin laugh, and it turns out, yeah, he just made up the story all along, which I think was obvious even at the time. Apparently Elrond didn't know, though. He's supposed to be some, like, kind of master politician and didn't see through this very, very obvious thing.
Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
Who do you think you are, Celebrimbor? And so he says, look, Durin, I've not been truthful for you. I did actually go to the mines for Mithril, which isn't true. He didn't go there for Mithril. And he even says, I may not have known I've gone there for it. And it's like, well, if you didn't know you were going there for it, you didn't go there for it. It was a complete accident, and it's amazing, quite frankly, that you even discovered it. And the idea that somebody else planned all that to happen is farcical, to be honest. But he says the elves need all of the mithril you can provide, and otherwise we're all going to die. So please help us. Our fate's in your hands. And he's like, oh, nice. I've always wanted your fate to be in my hands. So it's like, okay then, if the entire fate of Middle-earth and every single person on the planet rests on my shoulders, guess we better go mining. Halbrand's staring intently and gets called in. And we cut to this, where all the cavalry are marching onto the ships, which, assuming means that Halbrand said he was going to go. I'm sure that's going to end well. We get to see all the people on the boats. Remember, this boat is supposed to have 100 people on it, with 100 cavalry, all of their food and all of their gear. Like, seriously, unless that's a freaking TARDIS, you're not going to fit 100 people on it, let alone the horses and everything else. And I wouldn't mind, I can understand that you couldn't build a boat big enough for 100 people, but you're the ones which said the number of people. You didn't even need to say a number, and I wouldn't have made a problem about it until you said it. So if you're going to say a number, make sure it can fit on your sets. Like, this is basic. But then, as everyone's so proud in their armor, Isildur makes friends with his friends again, and on steps Galadriel. And the entire thing is like, this is amazing. Oh, she's wonderful. Isn't she wonderful walking down the ship? Look, everyone's amazed just by the sight of Galadriel, despite the fact that we've all seen her before. Now she's in armor. A sight to behold. Everyone it is, except this guy who is, he doesn't care. Like, doesn't care at all. Oh, yeah, I've seen so many elves. What are you gonna do for me, love? Absolutely not impressed at all. I came here as an extra, I study here, and I just don't care. Somebody fetch my paycheck, please. And then she puts her arm out to Halbrand. Here we are. We're going to grip it the man's way. Look, I don't have a dagger. We're gonna smile as I go back to Middle-earth to rule. Let's hope she doesn't regret that one. That is a stupid helmet. Why's it got wings on? It doesn't seem like a very protective design. Oh, come on, dude. You look stupid. Why are the wings? Oh, no. Dude, I cannot take you seriously in that helmet. What is that? Look, it looks like the Flash when he turns around. Off we sail, and we've got lots of music. It's all meant to be really big and impressive. Look, we're on a TARDIS. We're on a floating TARDIS. It can fit 100 people. That's 100 people, right? Not counted. Definitely looks like 100 to me. I'm sure. Don't count. And then we get the trailer shots where they're sailing off to Middle-earth. Oh boy. Now, I preferred this episode to the previous one, but that's because I was just less bored when I was watching this one. There are even a few scenes in it where I think lifted it above where the rest of the series have been. The whole Galadriel Halbrand scene in the Forge, I thought was one of the better ones in the episode. My issue is you're putting those scenes among literally nothing happening for 5 episodes. And nothing happened this episode. Think about where we ended this episode, and think about where we ended the last one. And nothing's changed. We are now leaving Numenor. At the end of the last episode, what were we going to do? We're going to leave Numenor. We're in the same place. Bronwyn and her village. The tower is about to be attacked. End of last episode? The tower is about to be attacked. Elrond Durin stories move forwards, and that just switched from we're not going to mine mithril, it's too dangerous, to we need to mine mithril. That was the grand total of that plot. Oh, and the Harfoots moved a bit across the country. That really contributes to the grand narrative of the piece, doesn't it? I don't even know why they're in the show, except as an example of pure evil. So all in all, I was less bored, which is why it was better than the previous episode. But literally nothing has happened, we haven't moved on, and the entire episode was pointless. So it certainly wasn't good. It's about time you realize your TV show should be entertaining, and for that, something needs to happen. You may think you have 50 hours, but you need to make a plot actually happen for each of those 50 hours. You should always be moving forward. Something should be going on. Things should be advancing. You should be going somewhere, and it just seems like you're spinning your wheels, and at the end of every episode, we're no further on, or barely further on than we were before. And that isn't entertaining, it's not interesting, and it's quite frankly not something that will retain viewers for you, which I thought you needed. Now, we are 5 episodes in out of an 8-episode series, so it's clearly not going to change for this series, but if you want anyone to view your incredibly expensive show, something has to change, something major has to give in this series, and I don't really think you have the talent to do it. You'd need massive changes for season 2, but we're talking about such a monumental upheaval of so many people behind the scenes. The question is, do you even have the guts to do it? And for that, I'm kind of doubtful that you even do. I'm not even sure you'd know where to start or what the problem is. And so really, I have no confidence in it at all. But those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe, more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.